to defrost and let your body settle into your mat. Then take a long breath in and fill yourself all the way up. And a big exhale out. 2 more like that. A full inhale, fill your lungs all the way. And empty it out. 1 more, fill up. Exhale through your mouth together. Then start to build your 4-part Ujjayi breath. A long inhale with a pause at the top, and then a long exhale with a pause at the bottom. Really specific about hitting all 4 points of that breath so that you can start to drop into the rhythm of your practice and warm yourself up from the inside out. Downward facing dog. Lift your hips up and back. Move your body around any way you feel called to move it. You can pedal out your feet, shake out your head, any of that good stuff to just see where things are this afternoon. Then walk your toes up to your fingers and hang in ragdoll. Pull the pit of your belly way in and up. And then you can do what you'd like with your arms and your hands. They can hang towards the floor, make a box with your arms. But lift your low back up to the ceiling high enough that you can feel the stretch. Yeah, there you go. Good adjustment. So stretch in your low back in the middle of your back rather than the backs of your legs just yet. Press into your feet. Rise all the way up to standing. Reach through your fingertips. Bring your thumbs to heart center. Set your intention for your practice. Pick one specific thing that you want to stay focused on. We'll send out those intentions with 3 ohms. Deep breath in. Inhale, reach up, extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, lengthen out your spine. High to low push-up, step back. Upward facing dog, open up your chest. Downward facing dog, press back. Take a full breath in together. Big exhale out. Good, 2 more like that. In, exhale. Last one, fill up. Empty completely. Look forward and move, feet to hands. Halfway lift. Fold down. Extended mountain, long, slow inhale. Up to your fingertips. Forward fold. Halfway lift, lengthen out. High to low push up. Get your fingertips in the mat. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe in together. Big breath out. 2 more. Fill. Empty. Last one. Exhale completely. Step or jump, feet to hands. Halfway lift. Fold down. Extended mountain, rise all the way up. Look up. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga, low push-up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe in together. Empty it out. Breath in. Breath out. Add some softness to the backs of your knees. 1 more breath. Push all the air back out. Jump to the head of your mat. Halfway lift. Fold down. Extended mountain, rise up. Lift up through your chest. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. If you're jumping back, it's straight to low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe in together. Empty it out. Breath in. Empty. Last one. Exhale completely. Jump to the head of your mat. Halfway lift. Fold down. 1 more sun salutation A. Rise all the way up. Reach up. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga, plant and step back. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe in together. Empty it out. Yeah, nice and loud. Breath in, purposeful exhale. Last one. Exhale completely. Move forward. Halfway lift. Fold down. Chair pose and stay. Sit way back into your hips. Start to build a little heat here. Squeeze your leg muscles into your leg bones. Good. Now sit down and back further. Your knees almost stacked on top of your ankles. Yes. One more inhale. Reach. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Step or jump. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right side warrior one. Step your foot through. Pause in this first warrior one. Give yourself time to settle into your feet and lunge deep into your front leg. Yes, and you can take up more space if it feels like you can't lunge very deep and step wider front to back. One more inhale. Low push-up, hands to the mat. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left side, warrior one. Stay on this side as well. Sink down into the soles of your feet. Wake up your toes on the mat. So rather than squeezing them into the floor, let them lift and spread off the mat. Yes, Kate, there you go. One more inhale. Reach. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Big inhale. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Take one breath in together. A big exhale out. Step or jump forward. Halfway lift. Fold down. Chair pose for one breath this time. Sit back and reach. Fold. Halfway lift. Low push-up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right side warrior one. Lunge and reach up. One big inhale. Low push-up on your exhale. Up dog. Downward facing dog. Left side warrior one. Press your big toe mounds into the floor. Low push-up. Upward facing. Downward facing. Breathe in together. Empty it out. Breath number 2. Fill your lungs. Exhale. Last one. Get all the way empty. Move forward. Halfway lift. Fold down. Chair pose. Sit way back in your hips. Fold. Halfway lift. Low push-up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right side warrior one. Step through. Take your gaze up between your fingertips. Low push-up. Up dog. Downward facing dog. Left side. Step it through. Look up. Set your gaze. Chaturanga. Hands to the floor. Big breath in up dog. Let it out in down dog. Breathe in together. Exhale. 2 more. Fill. Get empty. Good. Last one. Push all the air back out. Get empty. Spring forward. Feet to hands. Halfway lift. Fold down. Chair pose. Sit back and lift your toes. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Breath sounds awesome. Keep it going. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right side warrior one. Step. Big inhale as you reach up. Low push up on the exhale. Upward facing. Downward facing. Left side warrior one. You got it. Big breath. Look up. Chaturanga. Upward facing. Down dog. Breath in together. Exhale. 2 more. In. Empty. Last one. Exhale completely. Step or jump forward. Halfway lift. Fold down. Last sun B. Chair pose. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Low push up. Upward facing dog. Down dog. Right side warrior one. Step into a deepest lunge yet on this side. Chaturanga. Inhale up. Exhale down. Left side. Step it through. Last one. Reach all the way up to your fingertips. Low push up. Up dog. Downward facing dog. Oh, much warmer than we were just a few minutes ago. Send your right leg straight up and back. Bend your knee and open your hip. You can stay right here in three-legged dog or flip your dog. Go all the way over. When you flip that dog, get both of your feet flat on the floor, 2 flat feet with both of your pointing towards the back edge of your mat. Now, if wheel pose is there for you, take it. If a big open chest is there for you, you can squeeze your shoulder blades together on your back. Then flip back over side plank. Plant your right palm on the mat, send your left hand up to the sky. Breath got a little quiet, bring it back in. Yeah, and then you can customize the side plank however you need. A foot on the floor, a leg in the air, a knee on the ground. Create the pose however it needs to be for you. One more breath together here. High to low push-up you go. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Send your left leg straight up and back. Bend your knee, open your hip. Stay or flip your dog. 2 flat feet on the floor right away. Press the center of your heels into the ground. Then invite the space in. Maybe more an open chest. Maybe shoulder blades further together on your back. Nice, John. Then flip back over. Side plank. Left hand down this time. Right hand up to the ceiling. Flex your ankles and spread your toes apart. Wake them up. Yes. One more inhale. Reach. Chaturanga. Hands to the floor. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Take a big breath in together. Exhale it out. Right side crescent lunge. Step your right foot between your hands. You're up on the ball mound of your back foot this time, so give yourself enough room front to back so that you can come deep into the lunging front leg. Yeah, maybe you start with hands on your hips or go straight for hands up into the air. Stack that back heel right over the ball mound of your back foot. Send it straight up to the ceiling. Good. Now come deeper into your front leg. So both of the legs pushing and pulling at the same time to create heat from the bottom up. Hands to heart center. Twist right. Bring your elbow just outside your knee. You can keep your palms together or open up your arms, whatever feels like a better fit. Press your back thigh way up to the ceiling. Yeah, wake it up. One more breath here. Stay for the exhale. Get the whole twist out. Then warrior 2. Face the opposite way. Come up and around and then make an adjustment in your feet if you need to. Front heel mostly in line with your back arch. Come down deep in your front leg. Yes. Press down with the outer edge of your back foot. Press it straight into the floor. Then take extended side angle. Front elbow to your front thigh or fingertips down by your front arch. Know that you can always put those fingertips on a block too if the floor feels like it's a little too far away from your hand. Good. Add more breathing. And take a half bind. Top arm around your back. Good. With that half bind, can you peel your top shoulder further open toward the ceiling? Nice, Tyler. Take one more breath in. Fill all the way up. Chaturanga on your exhale. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Take one breath in. A full exhale. Left side crescent lunge. Left foot between your hands. Start with what's touching the floor and work your way up the pose. So the feet on the ground, the back heel stacked over the ball mound of the back foot, all the way up to your fingertips. Good. Come down deeper in the lunge. Press your back thigh up to the ceiling. Good. Keep your legs nice and powerful. Hands to heart, twist left. Anchor the elbow. Palms stay together. Open up your arms. And then whichever arm variation you choose, wake up your fingertips, either spreading them apart or pressing them together if they're still touching. Nice. One more inhale here. Stay for the exhale. Push the air out, then up and around. Warrior 2. Nice. Adjust the feet how they need to be adjusted. Then deep lunge on your front leg. Knee right on top of your ankle. Stay low in that lunge. Extended side angle. Elbow to thigh or fingertips down by the floor. Add more breath. Yeah, each time it gets quiet in your part of the room or where you're practicing at home, you just breathe a little louder and let everyone else come back into the breath with you. Half bind, top arm around your back. Peel that top shoulder open by pulling your shoulder blades together behind you. Nice. One more inhale. Chaturanga, hands to the mat. Big breath in up dog. Let it out in down dog. Take a full breath in together. Push the air back out. 2 more. Fill up. Exhale. Last one. Push all the air out. Step or jump forward. Halfway lift. Fold down. Chair pose and stay. Way back into your chair and start to cultivate breath. A breath that heats you up from the center all the way out to the edges of your skin. Hands to heart, twist right. Open your arms. You can have your bottom arm on the outside of your knee or between your knees. Up to you. Now sit your hips 2 inches lower, heart 2 inches higher. Yes, stay right here and breathe. 5, 4, 3. Spread your fingers. 2, 1. Chair pose. Forward fold. Take your first 2 fingers around your big toes. And you can bend your knees as much as you need to make that happen. Sometimes it feels nice to lay your stomach on your thighs here and have a deep bend to your knees. How's your breathing? Release your grip on your toes. Take a goddess squat. Step your feet mat width distance apart, maybe a little wider, and then feet turn out to 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock on a clock face. Come down into your hips, elbows on the inside of your knees. You can sit on a block if your hips are up pretty high. And if you're having a little trouble getting the heels down, you can always take the feet a little bit wider as well. Good adjustments. All right, heart up to your thumbs. Press your chest up to your thumbs. Nice. Fingertips to the floor, hips to the sky. Shake it out a little bit and heel toe your feet back together. Squat down for chair pose. Way back in your hips. Lift and spread your toes off the mat. Let that weight settle back into your heels, back into your hips. Hands to heart twist left. Spread your arms apart. You choose where you put the bottom arm and then wake up your hands all the way to your fingertips. Deepen the hips for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Chair pose. Forward fold. Gorilla this time. Step on your palms, toes all the way up to your wrists. Get them all the way underneath there so you bend your knees a little or a lot to make that happen. Now let your head hang. You can gaze at the back edge of your mat so you know the back of your neck is nice and long. Kickstart the breath again. Release your hands. Stick with goddess squat or move on to crow pose. If you're taking crow, spread out your fingers super wide at the head of your mat. Tuck your knees up in towards your armpits and start to tip forward. So even if your feet don't come off the floor, it's still crow pose. You're making the shape of the thing. And then you can play around with, fall out of it. Let it be messy a little bit. Maybe one foot comes off the ground, maybe both. Nice, Brian. Gaze in front of your fingertips to help shift that weight forward. You've got one more inhale. Step or jump back. Low push-up. Nice, Ben. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Take a full breath in together. Sigh it out. Make some noise. Yeah, clear it. Breath in. Last one. Fill up. Exhale it out. Step or jump. Feet to hands. Halfway lift, fold down. Rise all the way up to standing. Eagle pose, right side, right arm under, right leg over. Wrap, squat down, set your gaze on one spot to help keep your balance. You can have the leg floating in space, wrapped around the back of your calf, or even down on the floor like a kickstand for more support. So you adjust the pose how you need to. Sink your hips 2 inches lower. Yeah. Left side eagle. Left arm under, left leg over. See if you can keep your gaze locked on one spot, even as you transition from one balancing pose to the next one. Squeeze skin to muscle to bone on both your legs, both your arms, so everything wraps in towards center line. Switch sides. Right side eagle, second set. Right arm under, right leg over. Make your breath louder on this second set. A purposeful breath where the sound of it takes up more space than your mat. It comes into the room where you're practicing. Switch sides. Left side eagle, left arm under, left leg over. So you have the heat working from the outside in the room, and then the heat that you're generating from the inside out. Let those two things meet at the surface of your skin. Standing leg raise, right side. Grab a hold of your right raised knee or your right extended foot. If you're working on grabbing the foot and you're not quite there to a straight leg, you can definitely have a bent knee and hold on to your big toe. Stand up nice and tall in your spine. Settle the standing foot onto the floor. It'll still shift side to side because you're on one leg, but see if you can slow that down a little bit. So the four corners of the standing foot are in the floor. Airplane. Press your foot straight back. Reach your arms straight back. Let your palms face the floor so you can squeeze your shoulder blades together on your back. Yeah, good adjustments. And the chest can get nice and broad that way. Airplane to half moon. Left hand to the floor, a block. Right hand straight up to the sky. Super helpful to flex that lifted ankle a lot, and that'll help lift your leg up to the ceiling. Now from where you are, pull the pit of your belly in and up. That space right below your belly button. Hug it into your spine. Yes, good adjustments. One more breath. Reach both feet to the floor. Standing leg raise, left side. Grab your left knee or your left raised foot. It takes a breath or two to get settled into your standing leg. Give yourself that time and space. And if you need to tap the foot down again and reset the pose, do that. Eyes on one spot. Standing big toe mound straight into the floor. Airplane. Press the foot back, reach your arms back. Create a point-to-point stretch. Your chest straight forward, the sole of your lifted foot straight back. So those 2 points pull apart as far as possible. Half moon. Drop the right hand down. Left arm goes up to the sky. You can keep your gaze on the floor as you open up the pose to the long edge of your mat. Stack that top hip over the bottom hip as best you can. Good. One more inhale. Stretch it out. Both feet to the floor. Standing bow or dancer's pose on the right. If you're taking standing bow, make sure the hand's on the inside of your ankle with the soft crease of your elbow facing out. That'll give you the space you need to get your shoulder back behind you. Tip forward when you're ready. Less about how far forward you can go, more about creating a balance between leaning forward and pushing back. So if that's higher up for you this afternoon, that's fine. Keep that equal push and pull forward and back. Last inhale, open, switch legs. Soft crease of the elbow faces out for standing bow. Switch the strap if you're taking dancer. Take your pose. There's no rush to landing in the final variation of the pose. It's the peak pose of the balancing sequence, so it takes a little bit to get settled into it. Take the time to get settled into it. Now plug your big toe mound on your standing foot into the floor. One more breath. Both feet to the mat. Right side, second set. Standing bow or dancer. Eyes on one spot. Steady, rhythmic breath. Regardless of what the shape of the pose looks like, let the breath flow. One more inhale. Switch. Last one, left side. Keep a little softness in your standing knee so you can really get into the four corners of your standing foot and root them into your mat. Big inhale. Open both feet to the floor. Tree pose, right side. You can have your foot down like a kickstand, up on your calf or all the way up on your thigh. Anywhere but the side of your knee is a good place to start. Hands start at heart center. Eyes set. 1 point. Any arm variation you want. You can keep them at heart center or send them somewhere else. No wrong answers with the arm variation. Steady rhythmic breath. Fall back into that 4-part breath if it got away from you. One more inhale, lift up tall. Switch sides. Left side tree. Foot above or below your knee. Hands start at your heart. Any arm variation, you choose. Steady breath. Resist the urge to hold your breath while you're in a balancing pose. Let the breath soften the edges of the pose so you can shift if you need to. One more inhale. Both feet down. Come up to the head of your mat if you're not there already. Extended mountain. Reach your hands up to the ceiling. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Low push-up. Step or jump back. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right side triangle. Step your right foot between your hands. Take up a lot of space front to back on your mat so your legs can be long and straight. And then bottom hand can come down to a block or your front shin. Straighten out that front leg as best you can by pulling your front hip straight back. Yes, good adjustments. You want the hip crease on your front leg to be as deep as possible into your body. Now add a bind. Top arm around your back. Could be on the outside of your hip, or maybe you've got the range of motion to tuck it into your front hip crease. You might even use those fingertips to pull your hip further back and straighten out your front leg. Nice. Press into your feet. Rise all the way up to standing. Side facing wide leg fold. Turn both feet to face the long edge of your mat and hinge forward. We'll take ninja lunges on this side because it's freezing cold outside, so a little extra hip work never hurt anybody. Bend your right knee and sink into your right hip. Then over into the left hip. Bend the left knee. You go at your own pace. If it's quicker or slower than your neighbor, that's totally fine. You're feeling for creating space in both of your hips as you move side to side. If you feel pretty warmed up at this point and your hips are pretty open, try staying low to the ground as you transition from one side to the other. And see how that changes the stretch in your hips. You've got another breath or two to get complete, and then you'll all meet up in center. Press into your feet, rise all the way up to standing. Namaste, front facing forward fold. Little baby warrior one stance facing the front edge of your mat, and take a bind behind your back. Either hand to elbow or reverse namaste. Hinge forward. Focus on the length of your spine rather than how far forward you can get your forehead. Super long line from your tailbone to the crown of your head. Yes, and then a few of you can square your hips by pulling your right hip back and pressing your left hip forward. They're not going to square all the way 100%, but it's the action of squeezing them in and squaring them as best you can. Keep those hips square, twisting triangle. Left hand down, right arm straight out from your shoulder. Open up and press your chest to the side of the room. Legs super powerful, muscle to bone connection on both of your legs and the whole twist in the torso. One more breath together here. Stay for the exhale, twist all of the air out, then high to low push up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left side triangle. Step your left foot between your hands. Big step so you've got room. Hand can go to the block or the shin. Then start to create length in that front leg by pulling the hip crease, the front hip crease, straight back. Add the half bind, top arm around your back, either on the outside of the hip or in the hip crease. Keep pulling that hip crease straight back behind you, a long front leg. Yeah, I see a little bit of shaking happening. That's the place you want to be in, where you're creating more space on the underside of your front leg. Press into your feet, rise up to stand. Side facing wide leg fold, this time with a bind. Turn your feet to face the long edge of the mat and either clasp your hands behind your back or put a strap or towel between your hands if you've got tight shoulders. Hinge forward. Keep a little bit of softness in both of your knees so you can tip your tailbone higher up to the ceiling. How's your breath here? You've got more room for it now at this point in your practice. You've been working on the breath the entire time, so now there's more space in your lungs for the breath. Big and full. Inhale with a pause at the top. Exhale with a pause at the bottom. Release your hands down. Rise all the way up to stand. Namaste, front facing forward fold with your bind. You want the feet at least hip width distance apart so you can square the hips. Yeah, good adjustments. And then fold forward. Soften your toes. Yeah, let them be soft. Press down with the four corners of your feet, your big toe mound, both sides of your heels, a pinky toe mound, rather than gripping with the toes. Twisting triangle. Right arm down this time, left arm out. Twist and ring out. Pull up the lowest part of your belly. See if you can get the twist to start there and go all the way up to the back of your neck. Nice. Steady breath, even here. One more inhale. High to low push up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Take a full breath in together. Empty it out. Full inhale. Push the air back out. Last one. Empty it out. Roll out to a high plank. We'll hold the plank for a few breaths so you can keep the whole plank in your body or drop your knees and keep the plank in your upper body. We'll stay here for 10, 9, 8. Keep breathing. 7, 6, 5, 4. Press down. 3, 2, 1. Lower all the way to the mat. Locust pose is next. Reach your hands back by your hips. Palms face the floor. Peel yourself off the mat. Lift your chest, your shoulders, your feet. Then squeeze your inner thighs together a lot and press your feet straight back behind you. A long and narrow locust. One more inhale. Lower down. Turn your head to the side. Rest your cheek on the mat and then shake out your hips. Left and right. Locust number 2, you can keep your hands where they are or interlace them behind you. Rise up, locust pose. Length more important than height. Squeeze everything into center and stretch from the crown of your head to the tip of your toes. Beautiful. One more inhale. Stretch. Lower down. Turn your head the other way. Hips side to side. Floor bow, number 1 of 2. You can take one leg at a time or take both at the same time. Bend your knees and grab your ankles. Press your shin straight back, rise up. Everyone flex your ankles and the soles of your feet up to the ceiling. Yes, good adjustments. One more breath. Lower down. Rock out the hips left and right. Floor bow number 2. Switch legs or grab both ankles again. Rise up. You're building up one back bend at a time to get to the peak pose of the sequence. So send your chest past the front edge of your mat. Send your shins straight back. Lower down. Hips side to side. Plant your palms by your lowest ribs. Upward facing dog. Rise up off the mat. Downward facing dog. Press back. Take one breath in. A clearing breath out. Look between your hands, jump through to sit, come into staff pose. So legs straight out in front, arms straight out in front. Press the edges of your heels into the floor, act like brakes, and then slow as you can, lower your back to the mat. One vertebrae at a time. Definitely breathe on the way down. And if you're quietly slow racing your neighbor without telling them you're slow racing them, just focus on your breath on the way down. Nice control. When you get there, bridge pose is next. Bend your knees, flat feet on the floor. You want the heels just close enough that you can barely touch them with your fingertips. And then thighs hip width distance apart. Press down, rise up. Lift your hips, your low back, all the way up to your shoulders. Then you can clasp your hands underneath you or take cactus arms and press your shoulders down into the floor that way. If you've got that bind underneath you, squeeze and walk your shoulder heads underneath you. One more breath. Lift your hips, lower down. Take the knees left and right. Bridge number 2. Press your feet into the mat, rise up. A long straight line from your chin all the way to your knees. Press the soles of your feet down into the floor. Now bring your right knee into your chest. Press your right foot up to the sky. Lengthen that leg all the way up to the ceiling and reach. Knee into your chest. Foot on the floor. Bring your left knee into your chest. Left foot up to the sky. Stretch and reach it away. Let it pull your hips a little bit higher. Knee in. Foot on the floor. Lower down. Knees side to side. Doing that work. You can stick with bridge or move on to wheel. Wheel number 1, tuck your fingertips under your shoulders, press into your palms, rise up and away from the floor. A big, full back bend. Beautiful. Tuck your chin, lower down. Take a full breath in together. A big exhale out together. Bridge or wheel. Press, lift, go. Set your gaze on one spot. Feet anchored into the mat. Tuck your chin and lower. Breath in. Breath out. Rise up. Number 3, the halfway point. Bridge or wheel. Come up and away from the mat. Eyes on one spot. Fingertips down in the ground. Lower down. Breath in. Big breath out. Rise up. You got it. Bridge or wheel. You're past the halfway point. You pick the pose and just go. Tuck your chin, lower down. Breathe in together. Breathe out together. Number 5, only 2 more. Press and go, bridge or wheel. Yes, sink the center of your heels straight into the floor. Lower down. Breath in. Breath out. Last one, yogis, last one. Bridge pose, wheel pose, go up. The biggest, most full expression of a back bend you've taken all practice. Tuck your chin, lower down. Supta Baddha Konasana. Press the soles of your feet to touch. Let your knees drop out wide. You rest your hands wherever they feel best. Eyes stay open. Let them land on one spot on the ceiling. Dead bug, soles of the feet up to the sky. You can grab the edges of your feet or the backs of your thighs to help pull your knees down to the floor. Yeah, rocking side to side might feel good, or staying in stillness might feel better. And send your legs straight up to the sky. Set up for scissor legs. Hands either underneath your hips for support or behind your head for more of a challenge. Flex your ankles and spread your toes. Lower your right leg halfway to the mat. Take a deep breath in together. Exhale, switch your legs. Pause, breathe in. Exhale, switch. Keep going with your breath. The switch is always on the exhale, so you can use that exhale to pull your abdominal muscles down to the floor. Keep going for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Legs straight up. Glue the inner edges of your legs together. Make them one unit. Lower both legs 30 degrees to the floor. Lower them 60. Lower to hover. Flutter kick the feet. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Legs straight up. Reset. Belly down to the mat. Shoulders down to the mat. Lower 30. Lower 60. Lower to hover. Crisscross the feet. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Legs straight up. Belly down, shoulders down. You've got one more round. Lower 30. Lower 60. Lower to hover. Pendulum swing the legs left and right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Legs up, knees into your chest. Good stuff. Abdominal twister next. Hands behind your head. Elbow to opposite knee. Go for it. So you can do just the upper or lower parts of your body or a combination of both at your pace. If you're twisting side to side with the upper body, make sure you get the whole shoulder off the ground as you go from side to side. Keep going for 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. You got it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees into your chest. Rock forward and back 3 times. Land in boat pose. One last stability pose. In the boat pose, like a capital letter V, you can have your hands behind your thighs or arms out to the side. Lift and spread your collarbones. Make your chest nice and broad. Yes, and then whether your legs are high in the air or close to the floor, flex your ankles and spread your toes. Good. One more inhale. Lift. Downward facing dog. Make your way there. Down dog to right side half pigeon. Bring your right knee to your right wrist. Bring your thigh close to parallel with the outside edge of your mat, and then you decide how far forward you bring your shin. Give your forehead a place to rest, either on your fists or a block, maybe on the floor. Check in with your breathing right here. Even though things are still warm, things are moving, your heart is still pumping blood around your body, can you slow down the breathing so the inhales are longer and the exhales are longer? While the pose opens up your hip, can you use your breath to open up something else in your body? A tightness in your jaw, maybe a tightness in the back of your neck. Where can you create some space? Few more breaths here. Let your body settle as much as it can. Downward facing dog. Shake it out. Left side half pigeon, left knee to left wrist, or take the pose on your back with your legs like a figure 4. Steady breath. Each time your attention gets pulled to something else, as soon as you notice, bring it back to your breathing. That might take a sigh. It might take an exhale through your mouth. Cool. Do that. And then back to the 4-part breath. Last few breaths here. Let your hips get heavy. Downward facing dog. Shake it out. One last hip opener, frog pose or seated wide leg fold. If you're taking the frog, make sure you've got some cushion underneath your knees if you're facing the floor, or you can take the frog pose on your back and have your feet against the wall. Seated wide leg fold, you let your legs go as wide as it feels comfortable, then toes point up to the ceiling. Frogs, flex your ankles and spread your toes. So your toes are going straight out to the left, straight out to the right. Yeah, good adjustments. And now that you're in the shape of the thing, all that's left to do is breathe. And if your brain starts to creep in and tell you how you're not flexible enough, or you don't do this pose this long, or any of the things that the brain likes to tell you, stay and see what happens anyway. See if you can tease apart the difference between the brain going, oh, I think I'm uncomfortable, and there being actual pain. This is uncomfortable. It's a deep stretch, whatever that is. Yes. And stay and see what happens. One of the first times that I was in frog pose, and if you've been practicing with me for a long time, you know this story, but there's a lot of new people in the room. So for those of you who don't, first time I was in this pose was in a master class that I decided was a good idea after only practicing for 2 weeks. I thought, yeah, no, definitely. I'm just going to jump in and do that. We were in frog pose for 14 minutes and I thought I was going to die. And each time that my brain kept telling me, you need to get out of this pose, you can't hold this pose this long, I just stayed and then nothing happened. My hips just got a little more open. So consider that every single pose in the practice has an opportunity for you to get something out of it, whether that's more space, more flexibility, more stamina, more strength than your brain thinks you can. Couple more breaths here in your frog. If you're facing the floor in your frog, crawl forward until your hips touch the ground and then bring your legs together. Wide leg seated folds. Get your legs back together. And make your way back onto your mat. No rush. Good stuff. Legs out in front of you. Make your way down onto your back so we can get upside down. Upside down in any inversion. So if you have a headstand or handstand practice, go for it. You want to take waterfall on your back with your legs in the air? Perfect. Do that. Shoulder stands. Go through plow first and then up to shoulder stand. And then no matter which inversion you choose, set your gaze right up at the ceiling on one spot rather than looking side to side. Feet stay awake, ankles flexed, toes wide awake. Shoulder stands, make your way to plow. Let your legs go long behind you. And if your feet don't touch the floor, you can keep your hands on your low back to help support. Long legs in that plow pose. Plow to deaf yogi. Bend your knees and hug them along the sides of your head. Then slowly lower your spine back to the floor, piece by piece, bone by bone. Hug your knees into your chest when you get there. Give them a squeeze. Supine twist. Drop your knees to the right, twist and look to the left. Melt your shoulder blades down to the floor. Even if your knee or top knee is floating up in space, that's fine. Get both of your shoulder blades down instead. Supine twist, opposite way. Wring your spine out one last time. Supta Baddha Konasana. Press the soles of the feet together one last time. Let your knees drop out to the side. If you're in studio, you've got a cold eye towel by the upper corner of your mat, so you can put that wherever you'd like. Let your bones get heavy. Let yourself settle down on your floor. Shavasana. Let your legs stretch out long, arms stretch out long by your side. Palms face up to the ceiling so your shoulder blades can nestle underneath you. And take one last breath in. Fill yourself up and up and up. Exhale it out. Let your entire body rest easy on your mat. Deepen your breath. Bring some movement back into your hands and your feet. Plant your feet on the floor and rock onto your right side. Take a moment to pause and thank yourself for showing up. With your eyes still closed, press down and rise up. Take a comfortable seat. Inhale, reach your hands overhead. Exhale, thumbs to heart center. We'll finish up practice together with 3 final ohms. Deep breath in. Deep breath in. Exhale it out. Thumb knuckles to forehead center. Thank you all so much taking time out of the freezing cold December weather to get on your mat and get up to something with me today. Namaste. Good work, everybody. All right. Eye towels can go in the hamper that's just outside the studio door. And if you borrowed a mat, you can drop it next to that hamper as well, so I know which ones to wipe down. If you have any questions about stuff we've got coming up or anything in general, I'll be floating around the studio. Have an awesome holiday weekend. And if I don't see you next week, Happy New Year, and I will see you soon.